$200 a month, $50 a week. In 6 years, they're going to have about $21,000 for their child's education. In 12 years, they're going to have about 48,000. And at 18, when the child's ready to go to university, they're going to have about $80,000 for that child's education. Okay? What I want you to understand, everybody on this call, all parents, they get money from the government. It's called the child tax benefit. Okay? You can teach and encourage the parent, instead of spending that money, you can put $200 a month into a RESP plan, and they will have that later on for their education as well. Okay? So that's something that you can mention to them. Now, what is a RESP? Very important. It's called Registered Education Savings Plan. Okay, I want you to write that down. Now, what does this mean? The government will contribute 20% of what you put in into this plan. So I'm going to give you an example. If I put in $100 a month, the government will match my contribution by 20%, and they will put in $20 from the government. So now I don't have $100 for my child's education. I have $120 for that child's education. Okay, so very, very important. Now there's a limit. The yearly limit is $500 a year. Okay, this is how much the government will contribute. You can do more than this, but the government will only contribute $500 a year. Okay, now couple different other things I want to go over here. What are the grants? There are several grants a parent can receive for their child's education. The first grant I want to talk about is the 20%. Okay, I want you to write this down. 20% up to $500 a year. There is a lifetime maximum of $7,200. I want you to write that down. $7,200 is the maximum lifetime grant that they can get. Another thing is the Canada Learning Bond. This is for low-income families that have a income less than $53,000 a year. When they open this account, $500 will come into their account, into their RESP account, followed by $100 per year till the beneficiary turns 15 years old. Okay, so that's another great benefit as well. Now, here's one of the best ones. I know we have some people from Alberta and all over Canada, but in BC, we have a different grant as well. Okay, and this is called the British Columbia Training and Education Savings Grant, where in the child's 6th to 9th birthday, the BC government will actually deposit $1,200 into the child's RESP. So I want you to understand this. If you know anyone with kids who are 6 to 9 years old, they can actually get, without depositing anything in a RESP, just opening it, they can actually get an extra $1,200 just deposited for their education. That's free money from the government, okay? So very important. There are many parents that don't even know about this grant. So even if they have a RESP right now, maybe they haven't applied for this benefit. By the way, you have to apply for it. If you don't apply for it, you miss it. You miss this grant. Okay? So very important. We had an event that we did, and the child was 10 years old. They missed it by 3 months. Just by 3 months. Okay? So that's very, very important. These are the grants. Now, taking money out of a RESP. How can you take money out of a RESP for the child's education? I want you to write this down. 2 things are guaranteed to happen. Either the child will go to school or the child will not go to school. What happens in both of those scenarios? So I'm going to break it down for you just so you understand this as well, okay? If the child decides to pursue post-secondary education, okay, they can withdraw $8,000 in their first 13 weeks for a full-time program, okay? If they are part-time, they can withdraw $4,000. The limit every year for this program is $28,000 per year. Okay, so if they have $80,000, they're doing a 4-year program, no problem whatsoever. Okay, now the second thing, let's say the child does not go to school. They say, hey, I don't want to go to university, I don't want to go to post-secondary education. All the grants that were provided by the government will go back to the government, but you will be allowed to keep your contribution. Whatever you put in, that's your money, but the grants will go back to the government. Okay, so two things are going to happen. Now, if you think your child is not going to go to university or post-secondary, there are some other plans for children as well, like a child universal life account. Okay, I'm not going to go over that today, but there are other options for parents as well. In fact, a lot of times I sit down with parents, I do 100 into RESP and I do 100 into universal life. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples. Let's say it's a parent here, they're saving $100 a month for their child. Out of their pocket, they contributed $20,000. From the government, they received about $6,000 in grants. And the interest that they received on this money is about $20,000. Okay? Now, look at it this way. They put in $20,000 and they have a whopping $46,000 for that child's education. Okay? They have double their money than they ever put in. Double their money. Okay? Now, the next one I want to show you is if you want to maximize your RESP. Okay, what I mean by maximize, I'm going to show you. Okay, so if you're putting in $200 a month, the government is contributing $40 a month to your RESP. In a year, that's $480. Remember, I mentioned the limit was $500 a year. So you're very close to that $500 limit. Okay, so if you can tell parents, hey, if you want to maximize a contribution, put in $200 a month and you're maximizing the RESP. So in this situation, they contributed $41,000 out of their pocket. The government put in $8,400, and the interest they received was $36,000 on top of whatever they put in. So they have a whopping $86,000 for the child's education. Okay, so this is a RESP plan. A lot of people open it in the bank or they go to other institutions. Now, why would you want to open it with us, with an advisor from our firm, versus going straight to the bank? Can anyone on the call tell me what is the benefit of opening a RESP with us versus going straight to the bank? Can anyone on the call tell me?
The percentage rate of returns for the bank would give them. Yeah, the bank would give them a lesser rate of returns, which is around 2%. While if they invest with us, your illustration showed 6%. We could also, even get more, depending upon.
Absolutely. So 100% correct over there. So I'll give you an example over here. The illustration that I showed, if you look at what I'm highlighting, is based on 6%. Okay. It could be even higher. If it's higher, this is not going to be $86,000. It might be even $100,000 for that child's education. Okay, now I'm going to give you some examples of some funds that we have. Some of the funds we have, this one right here, Canadian Small Cap, over the last 10 years returned over 10% every single year. Okay, now this one, the US DAC account, returned about, how much is this? 17.9% over the last 10 years. By the way, guys, this is net fees. This is net of fees. So a lot of times people already have a RESP. You can transfer that under your management and give them a better, possibly a better rate of return. Okay, so I think that's very, very important information as well. Okay, so this is how a RESP works. All of you who are licensed on this call, focus on educating people. Don't focus on the product so much. Focus on educating them. What do you have and what can you have that's better for you? Okay. Now, I want Juliana to share a little bit about the RESP, her experience as well. Juliana, floor is yours. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. The best experience to share its own experience, obviously. I wish that I knew as a parent about RESP a while ago when I was just landed in Canada back 18 years ago when my son was 2 years old. All right. So recently, actually being a client with the company, my son just got to BCIT, and recently, like a few weeks ago, we withdraw our money from RESP account with the IA, and return was over 20%, by the way. You should see my son's face when he find there's extra money for his education and he doesn't have to pay out of his pocket, right? And also understanding the value of the account that actually I had as a client, that I was able to provide money for my son education, as well, bringing that value to other family members, it makes me really passionate. It makes me really confident. Yesterday, we had a great event, and we actually had a lot of women that some of them single moms with 3 children. Their main priority was children education plan. Even being a single parent with 3 kids, the main priority is put the kids into the university or college, and also plan to have a money for that. So they don't think about anything else. They only think about the kids, right? So when we did a great event and also we educate the client, their mind changed. They changed from spending the money, spending the child tax benefit on gifts or toys or somewhere else, to putting money in the certain accounts like RESP or Universal Life. And how did that change? It's just from bringing the value about those accounts, showing them number and showing, okay, this is what you put, this is what you're gonna get if you follow the strategy. Also, there great questions were out there where they were asking about, okay, what if my child is not gonna go? What's gonna happen to the money? There's another account that you can benefit as well for your child, and it's important to understand. So those families, those women that have many children, they walk out with a blown mind of a lot of knowledge and information, and they're gonna have a better decision for the family, for the kids, for their future, better than I did back 18 years ago. And that's what actually fires me up. That's what actually make me really confident about the product, about the we really have helping families. If my son took advantage of this account grants and also the great return that he had, why another family can't have it? Why don't we get more certain and also more focus on delivering those information to family with the kids? We should be so confident when we sit down with any family and we doing financial education, that this is the value I'm going to give to you if you listen to the information and you apply the strategy. But most of the time, people get in the license, they know it's good, but they don't want to go to work. And who actually struggle? Another family, the families that just landed in Canada maybe 5 years ago and so on. They have no clue where to go. They have no clue about where to find this information. You guys have a license, you have a power to change people's life, change the kids' future, and you're not doing anything about. That's what actually make me really sometimes disappointed about why don't we get serious in this career? Why don't we really try to help those families? Because if you became a client, that means you see the value. But how about others? This business is not only about you, your friends, or your family. It's about other families that wait in there. That maybe they don't have extra money to put the kids' education into. But what if that child dreaming about this university, become a doctor, so on? So thinking massively, thinking like that, it's actually gonna make you really happy with what you do in this career. And I want to ask a question to Tetiana, because she's a parent as well. She has 2 kids, and her priority is to put kids into education. And we had a great event. You should see how the people face were changing when we were discussing about RESP, also first-time buyers account, and so on. Every immigrant dreaming about buying a home and give our children better future. And that's why we're here. Tatiana, can you unmute yourself and give a feedback how the event was happening last night and how everything went, what the parents were asking and so on. How did you feel about that?
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm today without camera on. Yeah, I have a bad connection, internet connection. And you know, Juliana, what the most I like in our presentations, the conversation with these ladies yesterday, I mean, in general, the conversations, because then you say, when you start explaining the education account, for example, they started, you see it on their face, they started thinking. Then you say, you guys getting the child benefit. Why are you spending it all every month? Yeah. And they started thinking, why? Actually, why? And then we explain 3 different type of benefits, the grants that they can get from the government. And they started counting, actually counting how much money. And later on, you started explaining investment part. And now they see how the money can grow, because even you put $100, they were thinking, okay, I will put $100. What can I get later? What my son can get later? But then it ended up like $86,000 over 18 years, right? And they were so surprised about that because they never thought. But you put $200, you got $86,000. That's unbelievable. And people start on this kind of presentation, they start thinking it's possible, because most of immigrants, they live from paycheck to paycheck every month, and then they don't think if something possible for them here in Canada. Yeah, that what my feeling about yesterday.
Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you so much. Thank you, Juliana. Another thing I want to mention to everybody that is on the call, all of the products that we have, people already need and they want. So that's one thing I want to mention. If you're able to get your license and help a lot of families, making $10,000 a month in WFG in your own business is very doable. Another thing I want to mention is every single year at a job, we go to zero. Meaning even we work there 30 years, you're going to zero every single year. You have to re-earn that money every single year. In this business, let's say somebody starts with us part-time or whatever it might be. This year you make $10,000. Next year, once January comes around, you're not going to zero. You have a client base already. You have some team members already. Next year, you can go from $10,000 to maybe $20,000 in income. The year after that, you can go from 20 to 40,000 or 40 to 80,000. Now, I want you to draw this out by 30 years. What does your life look like if you've been building your business and expanding and growing for 30 years and compounding your income? It's a really good thing. Look at the people that have been in WFG for 10 years, for 15 years, for 20 years. Look at their income, look at their business, look at their lifestyle. So learn the products. A lot of people need a lot of help. We saw that yesterday in our event as well. And let's go out there. Let's help a lot of families. And of course, work hard and make a lot of money. Be ambitious. Now's the time to really be ambitious. Go out there and make something of yourself. Work hard, right? We're here to help you out. We are growing as well. And other than that, I hope you made a lot of notes. I hope you learned something today. Children's education, parents will do anything for their children. That's one thing I've learned. Over my career, their children are the most important thing to them. Okay, so when you talk about the child's education, they will listen to you even more than anything else you're going to talk about. Okay, so that's it from my part. I know Juliana shared and Tatiana shared as well. Let's go out there, have a goal this month or upcoming December. Don't be lazy. I know Christmas is coming and so on. In the month of December, earn over $10,000. Earn that $20,000, right? That's what you should be aiming to do with your license. All right. So I think that's it from my part. Other than that, thank you everyone for being on, and I will see you guys either in the office or on Zoom again. Okay. So good night, everybody.